Welcome to the part 3 of physics must watch, in which we are discussing about laws of physics. Now, as I told you, the first part we have studied about what is science. Second part we discussed about what is physics and the parts of the physics. And third part, the most important part, we are coming with the that physics is the laws now. Now, what are these laws? Now, these are the laws of the physics now. Physical laws are the conclusions drawn on the basis of long year scientific observations and experiments which are repeated again and again under different conditions to reach the assumptions which can be accepted worldwide. We all know our world works on some principles, and these principles are drawn by our scientists in the form of certain physical laws, and they are known as laws. Important laws of the physics, you are very aware that from the school days, Archimedes principle. This principle was discovered in the 3rd century BC by the Greek mathematician Archimedes. This principle states that when a body is partially or totally immersed in a fluid, it experiences an upward thrust equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by it. This is its apparent loss of weight is equal to the weight of liquid displaced. Now this is the important law I am telling you of the Archimedes principle. Second important law is Avogadro's law. In 1811, it was discussed by an Italian scientist, Anedeos Avegadro. This law states that equal volume of all gases are under the same conditions of temperature and pressure contain equal number of molecules. Contain equal number of molecules. This is the statement for the Avogadro's law. Third is the Ohm's law, which you can find in current electricity. Is one of the fundamental laws in the current electricity. This law states that the current passing through a conductor between 2 points is directly proportional to the potential difference across the 2 points, provided the physical state and temperature etc. of the conductor does not change. That means physical conditions are constant. Then what happens now? The current flowing to the conductor is directly proportional to the applied potential. The fourth important law, that is Newton's laws of motion. There are 3 laws due to Newton. They are known as Newton's first law, second law, and third law. The first law, it consists of 2 parts, one for body at rest and second for body in motion. That means in the rest condition as well as in the motion condition. Newton's second law, this law states that on the surface of the earth, when body is at rest, it continues in a state of rest unless and until acted upon by an external force. And when the body is in motion, it continues in a state of motion unless and until acted upon by an external force. That means this law tells about the 2 states. One is the rest condition, one is the motion condition. If you want to bring the object from rest to the motion or motion to the rest now, you need to apply some external force. This law defines inertia and force now. Inertia is the internal property of a body to continue in a state of rest or in state of motion. It's the internal property of the body is there, due to which the body continues in a state of rest or in a state of motion. Then this law defines what is a force. Force is defined as push or pull that makes the body to change its position. Any body is at rest. You want to bring it to the motion, you have to push it. Any body which is in motion, you have to bring it to rest, you have to pull it. That means the push or pull is known as a force. This is defined by the Newton. Now coming to the Newton's second law, This law states that rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to applied force. It is given by the relation F is equal to m into A. This law tells us how to measure the force. That means you wanted to measure the force now. You must know the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the applied force. Newton's third law. This law states that for every action there is equal and opposite reaction. For every action there is equal and opposite reaction. This law tells about what happens on the agency that applies the force. This is Newton's third law of motion. Now, call back. Newton's first law tells us what is force. Newton's second law tells us how to measure the force. And Newton's third law tells us what happens on the agency that applies the force. These are three laws due to the motion, Newton, and they are called Newton's laws of motion. Then coming to the law of gravitation. This is a very famous law. It is also called the universal law of gravitation also. In the universe, every object attracts every other object by a force directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. See, this is known as the universal law of gravitation. It is applicable to the entire universe. But in the galaxy, you can say, here what happens now, the two objects are there, they're mutually attracting each other. This force of attraction is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. These are the 5 important laws I selected to discuss here. There are many more laws are there. These laws are written or brought into practice by a repeated experimentation and drawing the conclusion on that one. These laws are very famous one, and these laws are must and should known for the student of the physics. Thank you students for watching this. We'll continue the next video. Thank you one and all.